Hi and welcome Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans. Oscar Mania is in full swing after the Baku Grand Prix. We saw our boy, Aussie Oscar Piastri, take home a magnificent win in what was, and I'm dubbing it, a modern-day classic. Tristan, how did you enjoy Baku?
Oh, loved it. I remember years ago when Baku first came on the scene, and I hated everything about it.
I like that you bring this
up. It.
It's usually my job.
I know it's your job. And I burnt it in just a way that I thought I would never come back.
The first year was useless.
First year was garbage, and I thought, get out of my life, I don't want you in it. But now, I love it. I love it. It's my mid-season staple.
I reckon one year, last year we had a year off it being magnificent.
Yep.
And the first year and every other year has produced something spectacular. And I mean, hey, on the weekend it was no different. It was. I have stolen that phrase, but a modern day classic, and I think that fits it beautifully. It was a good quality Formula One motor racing race, wasn't it? It had all the things that true motor racing fans, I feel,
need, want.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was also topped off by the fact it was at the perfect time for us to watch a Formula 1 race.
I know.
9 p.m. is the perfect time for a race in Australia. And I've come to realise occasionally when you get a race mid-afternoon, that's all well and good, but it pretty much kills your day.
Yeah.
And so having it at the end is a lovely thing. If it's too late, I usually watch it the next morning.
Yes, I know you love doing
that.
But it's don't you? Yep.
But yeah, no, this 9 o'clock is absolutely perfect, and I'll take that every day of the week. Thank you very much. I think Singapore this week is a 10 o'clocker, so I'll take that.
Yeah, that's all right. Like, I miss the 9s, you know, how that sort of awkward feel about.
Yeah, well, you always used to be a 10 o'clock start for us.
I know, that's
and that
very
worked
true.
out okay.
That is very true.
Anyway, we've got all the goodies.
All the goodies.
Yep.
It's going to be a jam-packed...
It certainly is.
Up and about episode.
It certainly is.
It really is.
And we got plenty to get into. Give me your race ranking.
Oh, 10. 10. I'm so glad you asked. It's 10. What did I give a 10 at the start of the season or mid-season? I gave something, or like a 9.5. It's 10. I could almost say 11. I would almost say 11.
You can't.
It was
not a possibility.
Brilliant. It was everything. Why was it 10? Thank you for asking. We had passed for the lead. I was talking to a work colleague today, and he said it was a pretty tidy race. I said, no, mate, it was the race of the year, and he wanted to know why. And I explained to him that although we only saw one key pass for the lead, what I love is more than that wheel-to-wheel banging, crashing, pushing and shoving racing, is I love that tactical cat and mouse and the relentless precision to hit your mark and to hit your time and to keep doing it. And he kept him at bay for nearly, 31 laps, was it?
Oh, I think it might have been more, wasn't it?
He just kept him at bay and he hit his mark and he kept hitting it over and over and over again. And they were within half a second for 99% of that time. And it was just enthralling to watch. I have not been more glued to a race that I can remember. Last quarter of Abu Dhabi 2021, I reckon, was the most glued that I've been to. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And then you have that added little sort of shock moment of Checo and Sainz putting it together, which, I mean, I don't know.
No one saw it coming.
No one saw that coming.
I feel like lots of people
thought
there was going to be something.
Yes, the focus was up front.
But to see them come together in such a big way.
How magnificent is that shot of Oscar and Charles coming out of the final turn sideways? Both of them,
drifting.
Both up on the curve, and just the commitment that they both showed. And I tell you what, as downtrodden as Charles would be for finishing second,
I feel like you're covering a lot of our episode.
I'm okay with that. I told you this is going to be an energetic episode this week. It's he would just hats off to him. And wasn't it a great battle too? It wasn't disrespectful. We weren't pushing and shoving. We didn't get out and have a sook about it at the end of it. It was heads down, hard forward racing. That's why it's a 10. It is a 10. That race won't be beaten this year.
It's a 9.5 for me.
No.
And I loved it. I loved it a lot. It was a brilliant race.
And this is where I like to ask you, where do you lose 0.5?
Where do you lose 0.5?
Where do you lose 0.5?
I would have taken another overtake not necessarily to steal Oscar's win, but another overtake or a closer chance at an overtake. I mean, but it was like 9.5. I don't give 10s because there's nowhere else to go. So a 9.5, was it the best race I've ever seen in my entire life? It was very close.
Wasn't best race I've seen in my life.
It was very bloody close though, wasn't it?
It was just so good. It was so good.
It was very enjoyable. So
it was so good.
Yep. So it's but 9.5 is a stellar score.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Opening question. We're going to replace an opening question this week.
You get as in you've had one and you're like, no, thanks.
I've got one still on the back burner, but I'm going with the hot topic. Our friend Sam, I was having a chat to him and he said, I really liked the episode the other day where you guys got straight into it. You didn't have your opening question. You got straight into the hot topic of, I can't remember what it was. Was it Max coming together with someone? I can't remember. No, it mustn't have been. Anyway, and so we're going to start off with a hot topic. And the hot topic's going to be, let's hit it off with the McLaren driver preferences. With Lando Norris getting preferential treatment over Oscar Piastri. Where do you stand on this situation? While you're up and about, I figure I may as well come back to
Tell me, you start this one, because I want to know your thoughts first.
For me, so it was always, nope, we've got two number one drivers, and I really respected McLaren on that. And then they've decided, with heat from media, I feel like the heat's really come from the media, that they've been talked into this notion of, you're in this title race, you got to start making sacrifices. You shouldn't have let Oscar have his win. You should have taken the 3 points, and I agree with the 3-pointer. I agree they should have done the swap over with the 3 points. But it felt like people started loading pressure on them.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden there was like, oh well, there's not like particular Oscar's going to do everything possible. He's going to try and help him out.
Yep.
I feel like, well, we're never going to really see what that properly looks like.
Yep.
However, I tend to agree they should have done the swap over for the 3 points. I wouldn't have taken Oscar's win away from him because it was a well and truly earned win.
Yep.
And for me, Lando just isn't close enough to be considered completely in this driver title. Is there a chance? Absolutely there's a chance. Does Lando have to do everything possible to make it work? Absolutely he does. And do I think it's possible? Nah. It's such an outside chance. So I just can't see the benefit in them pissing off Oscar in a way that's going to really piss him off for a title chance that is a long way off. Now, can they do some little things to help out Lando, similar to what Lando did for Oscar on the weekend? Absolutely.
Yep.
Should Oscar have given him the second place instead of the third place? Yeah, I reckon he should have.
Okay.
Could Oscar help out in the future in some way if it's not taking away a race win?
Yep.
Maybe he could.
Yep.
That's where I stand on it. But I feel like they've made these grand statements. We don't have a number one driver. And then they've gone sort of back, we might have a number one driver because there's a title chance a long way off in the distance. Lando's got to prove himself to be way more consistent than what he is to be in that title hunt before you start pissing off probably just as equal a driver.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Yep. We talked about this over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's been part of our conversation.
It's an evolving conversation. See, we haven't had a number one driver call until this episode.
So last week I touched on my dud of the day being Will Buxton and his aggression, for a better word.
Yep.
And the way that he portrayed that as a media person.
And man, he got some heat.
And
he got some serious heat.
And we talked about that at length, about how Oscar is out driving Lando, and yes, we're Australian and we love him. But the general consensus is that he is out driving him, and that's backed up with facts because he is the number one scoring driver across the last 8 weekends now
in Formula One, not just
Formula
between
1.
him and Lando. Yeah,
he is out of all of them, and he's the only driver to have finished 100% race distance of every single race, 100%.
Yep.
So the facts back that up as well. Yes, his start of his season wasn't brilliant, and that's where Lando sort of made hay there, and there's probably a few points there.
Lando was also given the upgrades.
That's
earlier.
Right. There was that opportunity,
which is fine.
Just
I agree with
race.
that call. I agree with that call.
One race. Take Hungary out of it, right? There's one race where maybe you could have swapped for a handful of points.
Yep.
Outside of that, what are we, with 17 rounds in or whatever?
Yep.
Outside of that, the other 16 are up for grabs. And so this is where the frustration lies with that we had the media and just the constant barrage of, oh my God, Lando. The hate, the pure hate that Oscar got the other weekend when he won in Hungary. Like, the pure hate for a man who is totally employed to go out and race and win. That is what every driver in every team is employed to do. No one is employed to pot around and say, hey, I really would like to hire you for 12th place. How do you feel about that? That's not what drivers are there for. So the unnecessary heat and hate that he got, and then suddenly we got this real sort of, the media almost got their man, didn't they? It was, we want team orders. And then I feel like McLaren's comments on the Thursday, and Andres Stella as well, and even the way that Oscar portrayed it too, is it was almost like them saying to the media, hey, alright, would you like some team orders? Yeah, alright, we'll give you a little bit of team orders, but let's just tell you that we're not going to forfeit wins, and if you earn the right to win it, you've got it. And there was all these sort of like little like considerations that went with the team orders as well. And then what we got on Saturday and what we got on Sunday was, yellow flag was really unfortunate for Lando, and I absolutely feel for him there.
Oh, we're going to talk more about that, though.
That's not on him.
We're going to talk more about that.
But then what we got was we got Oscar turning around and doing exactly what he has been doing for the past 2 months, and almost returning serve to the media and saying, hey, look what I'm doing. And then now that it's a bit of a suck eggs back, isn't it? And a bit of a backhander. Suddenly, that narrative has died. It's not there anymore. It's like, we did not wake up Monday morning.
Like no one's business,
we did not wake up Monday morning with a, oh, why didn't they do this? Or why didn't they do that? Or why didn't they do that call? Suddenly, the world's media went into hiding and went, okay, yeah, this kid's pretty good, isn't he? So, and you know what? This is not a two-way fight now. This is potentially...
It is not. Max Verstappen is winning the world championship.
It is... No, it's like, it's not a two-way fight as in it's between Max and it's between Lando. You cannot discount Oscar in this at all. And I think 2010...
You can't discount Oscar from coming second.
I think 2010... when Seb was nowhere. The only time Seb led that world title was the last lap of the last race. That's where he won it. He didn't even come close to being in front. And Red Bull put eggs in both their baskets and went, you know what? If we're not going to back Mark, then we need to have both. And you know what? Thank God they did, because otherwise we'd be celebrating a 2010 Fernando title. So I think that's what McLaren need to do, is they need to not back one. They need to actually recognise they got both. And then suddenly... let's not forget Charles in this, because if that Ferrari keeps firing up like it does, he could potentially have won this race on the weekend. I tell you what, don't discount him, because it's just...
He might come second also.
There's a little bit to go.
He might come second also. Like Piastri might come second. Like Lando might come second.
I think...
There is not a championship on at the moment.
I feel
there is a glimmer of a championship for a driver's title on. The Constructors is on like Donkey Kong.
Yep.
But it is still such a long way away. For me, do you think that McLaren should be making little moves to try and help out Lando in that title hunt?
No.
Do you think at all?
No, not at all now.
Nothing.
Not at all. You cannot suddenly, just because of, it's not enough. Like, he hasn't got enough points to be close enough to justify that. Like, he can still do that on his own, is sort of what I'm saying there. That Lando does not suddenly need 100% team support to get this done. He can do this by himself now. But also, you can't back him in, and then if you back him in, and then suddenly Oscar starts delivering the goods, you're going to look stupid, because if we go 2 more rounds, and let's say Oscar wins Singapore, and let's say he wins the week after, and then McLaren suddenly go, crap, now Oscar's close enough. I think they can't look stupid and suddenly then do a flip on their other driver.
The only way that Oscar's in this title hunt
is
if Max drops 2 races, no points, and Oscar's pretty much winning both those.
Yep.
And while that's not completely impossible,
yep.
it's not likely to happen. we've got Lando.
Don't forget we've got
Lando's
3 sprints.
Yeah, yep.
There's a sprinkling of points there.
Lando's
could be the
59 points behind.
Yep.
And then we've got Oscar another 32 points behind. And it's a huge margin. Do I think that we should be supporting Lando in his quest a little bit? Yeah, I do. Do I think we should be removing wins? Absolutely not. Because he's just not that close.
You can't do that.
He's just not that close. So if you're going to send someone out for a qualifying, like you know how sometimes they get first or second out to get into the qualifying, I think you're making Lando that priority at the moment. Lando was also qualifying better. Yep. So you're just doing the little things. I wouldn't even necessarily be swap positions. It's just the little things that you're going to be doing. Yeah. Just in that little hunt, for me, I think that's fine. Yep. But yeah, it's just, it feels like McLaren made this statement and then all of a sudden everyone ran with it and it's like, oh, everything's going behind Lando. That's not what they said. That's not what they said one bit whatsoever. No. It was just that we're going to be supporting him in this, and yeah, look, for me, it's just, it's all gotten really big. It's gotten really, and I'm with you. Like there was a little bit of hate for Oscar in his win. There wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot. No, there wasn't. There was a little bit. Absolutely was. There was a little bit from some ridiculous British media, which happens all the time because they get so lost in themselves. And I'm disappointed in Will Buxton because he has been lost in it, and he's lost a heap of credibility. Absolutely. And it's not just us saying it, Aussies. There's been so many other publications throughout England saying, look, this is ridiculous. You're supposed to be an unbiased person within Formula One because you're working for Formula One, and all of a sudden you're making these ridiculous, huge calls. Yep. He's lost a lot of credibility, which he has taken time to build up because his credibility was built around Netflix, so he was a new credibility sort of guy. So, but anyway, it is what it is. But I think it's just interesting. Anyway, hot topic to start an episode. I think sometimes it's a nice way. I like the suggestion, Sam. I like the suggestion a lot. Yep. Let's talk Formula One. Let's just get into it. Right. I mean, we saw qualifying and we saw the Ferraris. They'd threatened to be the fastest there. We knew that Charles Leclerc was really impressive around this place. And he managed to get the job done in a really tight qualifying. And it set us up, like, that grid was magnificent. I mean, outside of Lando, which we'll talk about Lando in a mini. Yep. But outside of Lando, it was a really tight grid and it was set up beautifully. Absolutely. Leclerc in a Ferrari, into Oscar in a McLaren, into Sainz backing him up, and then we saw, was it Perez, I think, was next, and so it was set up beautifully, and then, well, will the Mercedes be able to come into this race? Turns out no was the answer.
Yeah, which was a real bizarre drop-off there.
But qualifying was a really interesting situation. It set ourselves up for a beautiful race. We saw the race get started, and off they went, and it looked for a minute or two like it was going to be a Leclerc drive into the distance because it's too hard to hold on to tyres situation. Yep. Oscar tried for a bit. Looked like he lost his tyres, which he did. He might have over-pushed him a little bit in the dirty air. And then it was a situation of, rightio, Ferrari in control here. And it was a little bit like when Oscar took control. Where was it? Monza? Yep. Where he took control. And it was a situation of, where are we going with this? Lando has held his cool in the past and known that he can drive his way into a win, and Oscar did the same. Really, there was Oscar made his pit stop. There was a chance of getting caught up with Perez, getting the undercut on him. Norris did a really great job holding him up through the castle section. Geez, this track was built for holding someone up through a castle section so someone couldn't undercut your teammate. Yep. Lando just happened to be in the right place at the right time, which was an uncanny situation to happen. And it meant that Oscar was able to slide back into second spot, and then he turned it on. He did some chasing down. His outlap was spectacular. Yep. Leclerc's outlap was very so-so, like 3-second difference. Yep. And that made a huge difference, and I don't think enough has been put into that. Whether Charles was trying to bring his tyres in a little bit more, and it was almost the Oscar, not quite the understanding of tyre situation, and pushed it a bit too hard.
I mean, the deg last week was pretty heavy, and I reckon Charles would have had that in the back of his mind too. I know that Baku is obviously not as high on deg, but he still would have thought, you just don't know.
Yep, but then Oscar closed the gap. He closed the gap. He had a one crack. He held back, and then in his second go at taking the lead, he came from such a long way back. He came from, I reckon it was 24 metres back at one stage as the braking zone started.
Yep.
And he went for the dive down the inside, real ballsy move, which is something we haven't always known Oscar to be until this year. We've seen it now this year quite a few times. He's starting to build this reputation. He wasn't sure if he was going to make the corner or not. He wasn't sure if he was going to end up in the wall or not, but geez, he was ready to give it a crack, and I love that. I love that. And he was so close to the wall, and it was just a spectacular move. He was nice and aggressive on the defence, but it wasn't unfair aggressive on the defence, and then it was just a race of trying to keep out Leclerc.
Yep.
And it was spectacular in every way. Leclerc tried all sorts of things. He backed off for a bit. He cooled his tyres down. He charged everything up. He had another go. He tried in a different way. He tried in a different spot. And Oscar had the answers, and he would check him off when needed, but he wouldn't check him off in the times that it wasn't needed.
No.
Because that's part of the game plan. That's part of the strategy of these races. And it was such a mature win for a 23-year-old in his second season of Formula 1.
Absolutely. What do you make of the little mini innovation from McLaren with the DRS winglets?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Brilliant.
We have seen them at Monza, though, have we not?
I don't know.
I think we have.
I can't remember seeing it, and I think it was a little bit more evident here at Baku. Just because of the straight. You've kind of got enough time down the length of the straight to see it in action. But I think a brilliant little innovation. I really hope it doesn't get banned. It's up for discussion again. I think there's a protest in the works at the moment, but I can't see it.
They've got it.
I can't see it getting up.
They've enjoyed it for the where they've had it.
Yes.
And so that's I'm not sure that we'll see a lot more of it.
I don't think we'll see it at Singapore.
No.
But I mean, you might see
it at Singapore.
Yeah, you might see a version of it or something like that, but I think it was brilliant.
You maybe,
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I can't really think of where maybe Abu Dhabi.
It's very, very track specific. So anyhow.
Yeah, and then with so he got the massive win. It was beautiful. It was everything you spoke about at the top of the episode.
Yep.
It was a really proud moment. The noises I made in that overtake was huge. And then to break the back of Leclerc was the other nice thing.
Yep.
So it was within half a second to a second for most of the race, and Leclerc started to panic.
Yep.
There was a bit of panic in his voice where these guys are pushing really hard. Are their tyres going like mine are going to be going?
Yep. And
he was really surprised at what Oscar was able to do out the front there, and he does seem to be a different driver out front, Oscar.
Yeah, he does. I thought Checo played that sort of part of the race really, really well, where Charles was desperate to sit with him. Checo kind of did the opposite.
He came and went.
He came and went and just sort of looked at it and thought, I need to back up here too. It was interesting in the cool-down room to hear Charles' comment saying, I recognise that you were not going to brake early. You were going to keep that foot off.
Yep.
And so I thought I'd let you through and I'll just get you the next time round.
Yep.
But it kind of didn't eventually.
Yeah.
So he probably regrets letting him through.
Yeah.
But like I say, whether or not he was able to hold on there too, but due to last week's deg, it probably was in the back of his mind.
Yep. Did you love the Ferrari tactics of pit opposite to...
Yes.
And that was old school, wasn't it?
It was old school. It was
fun.
out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, hang on, we're not on for a two-stop here at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think McLaren themselves matured this weekend too. That they kind of took a bit of a collective breath and just did the basics well.
Yep.
Which we've been really critical over
Didn't
the last
try and overthink it.
We didn't try and overthink it. We didn't try and do too many things. And I think that's where they can kind of fraught with danger when you're starting to try to manipulate results to, benefit one driver or the other. Just let it come to a head.
Yep.
At the moment, and I think also as a team, it was really important that they took that breath And I think Lando's qualifying kind of aided them in that regard too. That they suddenly didn't have an issue. I say issue in sort of air quotes there. Not that it is an issue, but I'm sure for the team there would be sort of people fretting over it. But you just had that opportunity to take a breath and go, actually, you know what, we do only have one car in this. Let's just take a bit of a collective breath and get that one home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Norris's race? Let's move across the garage.
Look, I mean, while it was good, and I think his single lap against Checo was very, very important in hindsight.
Very important.
We sort of found that out towards the end of the race too. At that point in time, you could see what was going to eventuate. I feel like Oscar would have got him anyway.
I think Oscar would have got.
I don't know.
Would have got Perez. It would have been a matter of how long would it have taken him.
Yeah, what could Checo
and then what could he have gone and done with tyres that have been through that? I'm not sure that would have necessarily happened. So yeah, Lando absolutely saved the day. Thought everyone was so sympathetic to Lando on this qualifying situation.
I mean, it was just, I don't know, I'm sympathetic to it, but I can,
there's two things.
Recognise that, yeah, it
there's
probably
two
come
things.
at the wrong time for it.
Yes, and it was just it was almost like it was a glitch in the system. It wasn't, but it was so quick that it was on. They realised very quickly it's actually a slow car. It's not a broken car.
Yep.
But Lando, if he wants to be in this championship, you get a yellow flag, everyone else is only slightly lifting. All you've got to do is show on the telemetry that you've lifted, and he's still coming through, and he's still creating a lap, which is going to qualify. He gave everything up.
Oh.
What is also missed, though, is the fact that he actually ran wide in the last corner. And that was probably what
sort of second half too.
Yeah, and that was probably what actually did him in. I'm not sure that he's blamed this.
Yeah.
And the team has blamed this, and they want answers. But he lifted. He didn't lift like to the point where the lap was off, or he didn't need to lift to the point where the lap was off.
Yeah.
He wrecked his last corner. A smart driver would have done what they needed to and still scraped through. A smart driver that was in this championship battle wouldn't have been in that position. They would have had a bank to lap already.
Yep.
So that this wasn't going to happen.
Well,
because this happens in Formula 1.
They went out on a scrub set for the second run.
Yep, and they were saving tyres, and you can understand that. But,
makes sense, because they are quick enough.
But yeah, it was still like, just you do more. You do more to be through. You're in this title championship.
Yep.
You've got to do more than allow that to be the reason why you don't get through. And so, absolutely, was Lando unfortunate? Yes, absolutely, without doubt. But you probably that's not happening to Max.
No.
That's in his championship battle.
Yep.
It's not happening to Lewis in his championship battle, where you keep your foot in, you lift for the telemetry, you still know your last corner, you still finish off your lap, you don't give up. And he sort of gave it up because he messed up his last corner, it put him off, and whatever else.
Yep.
And I didn't love the, not necessarily, it was from everybody, but I didn't love that was the only reason why. No, there were other things that you could have been doing to make sure you got through.
No, that's fair.
His race, on the other hand, I thought was really, really great.
I think it was great too.
He did all sorts of things throughout that race. It's hard to get through traffic now. Yeah. It's not as easy as what it used to be, because everyone is condensed up. It's so much closer than what it used to be. And so he was aided with the two retirements ahead of him, but he's able to finish in fourth position. And that, my friend, that's a championship drive. When you do have that situation that throws you back, that's a championship drive where you can move yourself forward of your championship rival and actually pick up some points on him.
Yeah. And
you don't let it finish your season. So I was really impressed by that. And yeah, I thought he did really well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Charles,
well, I mean, what can you say about Charles that we haven't sort of said about Oscar? Because, in a sense, kind of everything that we've said mirrors one another, doesn't it?
Yeah.
because he was the hunter, and
tables were turned, weren't they?
They were.
I mean, he'd done pretty much the same thing to Oscar only a few weeks ago, and it was almost like, this is Oscar's getting payback on Charles.
And he fought with him, and he stayed with him, and it was just, I think everything that we've said about Oscar mirrors for Charles, in every way.
What is it about Ferrari that just gets rejuvenated as soon as Monza's come? Why can't they rejuvenate themselves early in the season?
You know, it's the emphasis, for me, it's the emphasis on being at home, the importance of racing well at home.
But it just changes everything. It's not like it's a one-off.
But it is. But it's like there's clearly, from an outsider looking in, there's an emphasis on the Monza package and the importance that it is not okay as a team and a driver to turn up to Monza and not be a top 3 car. Like, third is... We will
the minimum.
We will accept it, but through gritted teeth.
Yep.
So it's sort of that's where the emotion, and you ride the wave of that when you head to Monza, and in a way, the knock-on effect of that is that it rejuvenates the driver in the car.
They need to plead with Formula One to bring Monza into early part of the season.
Monza needs to be opening round for Ferrari and I really think it's nothing more than that. Like, passion and momentum is everything in sport. You see it all the time.
You do, but surely not in this sport of science and data and all those sorts of things.
I do. You can't tell me as an Italian working at Ferrari that you are not, in the month leading up to Monza, you're not given a little bit more.
They obviously...
Because it's important.
They obviously love a track with some straight lines. Obviously, the high speed is up their alley. But yeah, it seems like there's more than that.
I think it's nothing more than riding the wave of emotion.
In a race of absolute data and science, it baffles me that they have this upsurge every year.
You give a bit more when you're at home.
Let's talk. We've got to go to science. So that brings us to the Sainz Perez incident.
Incident.
It was deemed to be a racing incident. For me, that's the correct call every day of the week. For you?
Well, for me it is, but I can absolutely see arguments for a blame on one another.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I really can.
So therefore it is a racing incident.
It's a racing incident, but if you were sitting at the water cooler on a Monday morning saying Checo was 100% responsible for this, I could absolutely say, I actually, looking at the footage, I kind of agree with you.
Checo 100%. I couldn't say 100%.
But then I could see the other way, that if someone else wanted over and said, no, Sainz is at fault, I could look at them and say, actually, no, you are also correct.
Sainz had a right to move away from the wall, did he not?
He did.
Yeah, which is typical Christian Horner. Like, I mean, it's not his job to argue for Sainz, so you can understand why he's coming from that direction. But yeah, he wanted to move away from the wall, which is fair enough.
Yep.
And Piastri didn't pick up on the fact that he was moving away from the wall. Should you be allowed to move away from the wall if there's a car there?
Of course you are.
Well,
you can't not allow people to move from the wall.
Well,
it's so important.
It's not important. If he was next to him,
I mean, his other option is to pull out of it, but then suddenly if you pull out,
well, the other option is to keep going along the wall.
Or you stomp on the brakes, and then you're suddenly crucified for stomping on the brakes when you shouldn't have.
Why would you stomp on the brakes? No, you just keep on racing along the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was. I felt like Perez knew that, like, he was obviously trying to get the slipstream from Leclerc.
Yeah.
And Sainz wanted the slipstream from Leclerc, and you can understand why they were fighting over that little bit of track.
Yeah.
Sainz was in the lead. Perez was alongside him just. I'm not sure if that's considered alongside him or not, because they... Yeah. But anyway, for me, it was definitely a racing incident. It was a real shame because they both drove a really great race.
It was.
I loved the move from Sainz to get in front of Perez just before then.
He just turned up out like an uninvited guest.
Yep.
And it was suddenly, what are you doing here?
Yep.
He was in the background, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Geez, he's driven well, hasn't he? And then suddenly, well, hang on. And look, a little part of me thinks that Perez was kind of almost on for the win. Like, there was a
lot of people saying that.
It was not out of the realm of possibility.
It wasn't out of the realm of possibility, but I was a bit lost on, as soon as Oscar got the win, Harry Benjamin made the big call, Perez should win this. I was lost on that.
I saw it.
No,
too.
He was in contention for the win, but he wasn't favourite for the win.
I don't think he was favourite, but I think it was that little stint where he just stayed back.
Yeah, I understood that, but he was going to have to achieve something in the race, which he hadn't shown that he was ready to do.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but yeah, it was really. It was an interesting race for Perez. He drove a really great race. Yep. Red Bull wanted to keep him around until this race and then the next one.
Did you just sort of forget?
And you can see that why.
Did you just forget that he existed for a minute?
Perez?
Yeah.
What do you in terms of during the race?
Like in terms of suddenly we're racing and I caught myself at a moment going, Checo's third, where has he been?
No, I was watching that situation.
He's just become irrelevant. I wouldn't say irrelevant, but just in the sport. We've just forgotten that he's there. And look, hey, I'm not sitting here saying oh my God, he's back, because he's not back. And I think Max alluded to a really poor setup change on his behalf as well, which
Max
really
is,
negated his speed.
he's lost a lot though, hasn't he, Max?
You know, it was really interesting. I read an article yesterday morning about how Christian Horner was talking on one of the other international broadcasts that in Bahrain they had recognised they had a floor issue and that the technical path that they had gone down was possibly not right, but they didn't take it serious enough because Max kept winning.
Yep.
So they've gone back and it's almost like, oh, the issue was there, but we kept winning, so 6 months ago it's not an issue, but now it is an issue. But anyway, it was just interesting to see that they're going back there too. So if you caught, I'm going a little bit early here on this one, but if you caught the corner speed entry and exit, Singapore is a traditionally slow circuit, and we have multiple slow corner entry exit speeds and a lot of slow corners around the circuit.
Yep.
Now we know that was their Achilles heel last year.
Red Bull.
Across all 3 practice sessions and during the race, Max was the fastest in all slow corners around Baku. All slow corners. Not 1 or 2, all slow corners. He topped all of them.
So you think they've addressed it?
So I think what they've done is that they have seen that Singapore was the Achilles heel last year and that they have addressed it. So, I don't know, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here in terms of episode and everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if Max wins on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's just, and it wasn't...
Their Achilles heel was that, but it was also bouncy circuits, and they haven't fixed themselves in bouncy circuits.
I reckon they're all right this week.
And the other thing is, just because they're fast through the corner doesn't mean they're fast into the corner.
No,
it doesn't mean they're fast out of the corner, which is also their issue.
It's just something, you know, if you just, it's just something there, like...
Yeah, I think they're worried. I think they're very worried about Singapore. We miss Russell. Russell, now talk about irrelevant. Russell was irrelevant through there at the race. He finished in third. He finished on the podium. I forgot that he was in the race still.
You know, he's the Stephen Bradbury of Formula One, isn't he?
He was this week,
It's just multiple weeks, isn't it? It's just whenever there is an opportunity. But I mean, you got to put yourself in that position.
You do.
To mop it up, don't you?
You do, yeah,
so
yeah.
You can't be...
It was just a bit of a non-existent race for a team that's really seemed to have lost their way.
He spoke really well, where he spoke straight after the race to Gunter in the pen, and he said, I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, because for all intents and purposes, I'm actually fifth.
Yep.
And that I know I've skated through, and I'm just going to nod my hat, and I'll take a trophy home, and I'll take a handful of points, but I'm actually not the rightfully, third place finisher. And I thought that was really, it was really refreshing.
Yep.
That he has recognised and gone, nah.
It was fairly easy to recognise this one.
I think so,
mind you, Formula 1 drivers aren't always great at it.
But that's right. They love going, we were great. We put ourselves in position. This is awesome. I'm so happy to be third.
Yep.
I thought that was great and really mature and good on him for actually...
Mercedes worried about coming into this race.
Yep.
And while we've seen an upsurge from them this season, it goes to show they're probably a McLaren of last season where there's still those indeficiencies. They haven't got that whole rounded package yet, and so we're still seeing those races where they are not quite where they want to be.
Yep.
And I very much liken to where they are in their journey to where McLaren was last year. Maybe slightly ahead, but yeah.
Yep.
Lewis was even further back. He was an interesting race. I got lost in his race why things didn't go his way, but it didn't help that his qualifying was way off, but he certainly didn't come through the field like Norris managed to.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Alonso, speaking of cars that have sort of lost their way, Alonso's car had lost their way here as well. It was, while he finished in sixth position, it was really an eighth. It was the best of the rest, but have they really fallen into that category of being part of that midfield battle? Nearly. It was very close. Yeah. It was pretty much so. Albon was only 2 seconds finishing from him. I think that was slightly glorified. I think that was a little bit of Alonso just cruising to the end. But it was a bit of a difficult one for Alonso. He wasn't overly complimentary about the car.
Nah, not really. Look, but hey, he's got to be up and about because he's got Adrian Newey now. So
the man
don't have to worry about it.
So Adrian Newey's going to, let's be honest, he will clean a few things up next year.
All right, yep.
He'll clean a few things up next year.
It's going to take him 3 years.
It's going to take a bit of time. 2026 new regulations. If anyone's going to turn things around, it's Newey in that amount of time. You can't start working on it until a month or two after everybody else because his contract actually starts in March. But let's be honest, he's working on it. He's thinking of things. He just isn't in the factory doing that, which he needs to be to make a big difference. But 2026, I wouldn't be surprised if Newey can make things happen for 2026 within that small amount of time.
He'll do something. I think he'll correct.
What I want to get at, is Alonso's going to be possibly 46 by the time that car's coming along. And so this is the watch, isn't it? Can Alonso keep it together?
All of my heart is like, please hang on.
There's no guarantee that this Alonso is the Alonso of old anyway. Because there's no measuring stick for him with Stroll as his teammate.
No, I could beat Stroll.
There is no measuring stick for him, so he is an unknown quantity. Yes, he's driving very well, but is he driving well enough? I think at the moment, my gut feel is at the moment, yes.
Yeah.
But Alonso in 2 more years' time as a 46-year-old, it would be remarkable.
I know it would.
I will be cheering it nearly harder than you. I won't be harder than you, but I'll be nearly cheering it harder than you.
It's
just for just how incredible that story would be.
I know. I think I'm convincing myself that it's got to end. It has to end.
Is he in trouble with Max? No. Max is coming to the team, isn't he?
No, I don't know, and that's it. I don't know.
I don't know if we've talked about it on here, but I have been at you boys saying that Max is coming to this team. Max is coming to this team, and it looks likely now. But it's an interesting. And this is
it. It's just I feel like it's just watching him go about it that I know that time's almost up, and it really is it is almost up. He can't keep going. And as much as I want him to keep going, and to see that third would just be a fairy tale, because he should have more than 2. He should have 6. But he doesn't. But to have a third, and to have such a big gap between...
And to have a third at his age would be remarkable.
And it would just be something...
I feel like their big problems... Newey has won at lots of places.
Yeah. But it doesn't guarantee.
But it doesn't guarantee it, and that's exactly what I'm getting at.
You're a pretty safe bet with him.
You're a safe bet that things in his department are going to be fine.
Yep.
And the Honda should be fine.
Yep.
There's no guarantees about that, but it should be fine. There's not major changes happening to engines.
No.
And so the Honda should be across everything there. I guarantee they have been working their asses off in this out time.
Oh, of course they would.
And so you would think they're probably your best bet for a great engine, I would think. But it's still there. You still got to round everything together to make it all happen. But I tell you what, I really feel like Alonso's biggest threat is Max coming into that team.
Look, it could be.
But also, by then, Oscar, you would have to imagine, is absolutely at the peak of his game.
And if you look at
And McLaren seem to be just well on top of things.
And some of the kids that are coming in, Bevan's no slouch.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good on the weekend again.
Yep.
Franco Colapinto.
Right, let's get on to Williams. Let's move on to Williams.
Where did he
Where
did this man come from?
First of all, sorry, Alex Albon.
No.
Sorry, Alex Albon.
No.
Because,
not sorry, Alex Albon.
Because you are an incredible
Because Colapinto outqualified you, so no. No.
Colapinto, though.
No.
Magnificent.
Where has this man come from?
He came from the clouds. He's been dropped in to Formula One.
Here's a real, knee-jerk reaction question, right? In hindsight, which 2 weeks ago I wouldn't have even thought about asking you this, but now...
Yep.
But now we are, because...
Yep.
2 races, 1 Q3 appearance, 2 points finishes. We questioned a couple of weeks ago, like everyone, what on earth are we just getting rid of Sargent for? Well, fine.
No. Whoa. Back it up a bit.
I was clearing.
I
was clearing. What are we getting
I
rid of
was
Sargent
all
for?
over the idea.
So maybe it was all right call in the end.
Sorry, Williams.
Not sorry, Williams, no.
Sorry, James Vales.
Not a chance.
Sorry, Alex Albon.
Not a chance. So anyway.
The people... So... within Formula One, you hear the names of drivers that could come into Formula One. Hit me with a name that you think that you hear about all the time of drivers that could come into Formula One at any moment.
Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson,
Porcher,
Pourchaire, Schwartzman,
Schumacher,
Bortoletto.
Yep. All these names are coming up, and there is a long list of potential candidates.
Yep.
Colapinto is never one of those names that come up, and people were so surprised when he was named, and he has been fantastic. It goes to show how far off Logan Sargent wasn't. I mean, it also helps that this Williams has all of a sudden found its feet, and it was such a dog of a car early on. They couldn't drive it properly because of all the things that was around Williams. They didn't have enough car parts. They weren't able to develop the things they wanted to. They were delayed in the developments because they were just catching up on building things.
Yep.
But, Williams has got their act together. Colapinto's got his act together.
So can I tell you, just here's some
He
stats.
doesn't have a drive.
No.
That's the worst part of it all.
And I think I'm also mindful of, he's doing a very good job. And he's kind of refreshing. It's like, oh, wow, where did this guy come from? Which is great. The Williams is very good in a straight line on these slippery circuits, so we know that. So I'm also mindful in the back of my mind, before I start jumping up and down and buying team merchandise and, changing my number plates to Colapinto or something like that, that we've had two really good circuits that have suited the package of the Williams. So we'll see how we go in Singapore before I even start jumping up and down. This is where he's come from, which is essentially nowhere. All right, so 2022 Formula 3 Championship. No, sorry, let's go back to 2021. This is his last sort of work. So 2021, his last outing was GT World Challenge, Endurance Cup Silver, 27th overall. Nothing to write home about there. Found himself in Formula 3 with Van Amersfoort, finished 9th. It's like, all right, cool, that's fine. That was in 2022. Had a second round in Formula 3 at MP Motorsport, which are not brilliant.
So he went to Formula 2 and then went back to Formula 3?
No. So it was in Formula 3 and then Formula 3 again.
Oh,
so had a second season. So 9th and then 4th, changed to MP Motorsport.
Okay.
And then stayed with MP Motorsport for Formula 2 in 2023. Finished 25th. So... nowhere. Then he had a second season in Formula 2, which is the current year now. And
he's currently driving.
At the point that he was nabbed out of F2, he was 7th. So yes, I'm big on, you need to achieve something before you get into the sport. But look, hey, hats off to him. Because I like him. Just as a person.
I'm with you.
I thought his interview was good. There is word on the street that Argentinian brokers and backers are climbing over each other to sponsor him.
It's been a long time since we've had an
Argentinian driver. James Bowers is suddenly opening the checkbook again because that man loves money. And this morning, it is suddenly the talk that Audi have gone, oh, hello. What do you think?
Is it an element of jumping a little bit too soon?
And I think it is. It is a little bit of an element of jumping too soon, because I am always of the sort of notion that, if you're not there, there's probably a reason why you're not there. And when I look at those stats,
there's a certain
7th, 25th,
RB driver
9th,
that we can remember, AlphaTauri driver.
Yeah, there is. And so, I say that about Lawson all the time too.
They don't.
If you're not there now, there's probably a reason why you're not there now.
They don't need to go hard too quick.
No.
They're the last team to sign up a driver. RB technically haven't signed up a driver, but they've got drivers that they're looking at. And so they're not in a rush. So don't rush into it, Audi. You may as well hold off and wait and see where everyone's at by the end of the season. Because like you say, yes, the Williams might have suited these tracks. He also did manage to put it into a wall on the weekend, so you want to be making sure he's not continuing to do those sorts of things. He might be fast, but maybe he's not consistent enough. So, there's plenty to look at. The other one is Behrman. Behrman had a little taster of the Haas for the weekend because Magnussen was kicked out of Formula 1 for a weekend because he'd broken too many rules. Tell me, does he go back to 0 points now, do you know?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
0.
He does. Legitimately, we'll go back to 0.
That is ridiculous.
0. So he can it's a destruction derby for
Wow, that's right. And we know that's how he likes to to conduct himself sometimes.
Anyway.
Our man Dan, bit of a dirty race.
Look, it was promising in Q1. P1, sorry, where he was fourth. And I was like, okay, maybe they've
and
got
he
a
was
specialised
positive about where they could be, and then it just disappeared.
Yuki is having an absolute mare. Yes, Lance Stroll decided to shave 99% of his side pod off.
Yep. But he'd gone...
He's having a... Yeah. He's in a slump.
He's certainly...
A serious...
Anyone else you want to mention?
Slump. No, that's about it, to be quite
honest.
All right,
well, let's get into a 3, 2 and 1.
Yep.
Thanks to all signs, 3, 2 and 1.
Okay.
Driver of the day. Well, I just put down 6 points beside Oscar's name right now. Are you giving him 2 points? 3 points? I'm going to give him 3 points?
Absolutely.
Great. All right, and this is where we'll probably then differ in our points giving. Who are you going to give 2 points to?
Well, 2 has to go to Charles.
Okay.
Yep.
2 to Charles.
2 to Charles.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm going to give 1 to Checo. Like it's a
slam.
Checo. Yeah, it's just a slam dunk. 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3 there. 3, 2, 1.
Really?
It really is. Like it has to be. Like
okay.
Yeah.
Nut Behrman is having my 1 point.
Okay.
Behrman 1 point, and I'm going to give Colapinto 2 points because like.
Oh boy!
It's not an easy track. Things happen here, and he did make a mistake early in the weekend, like Behrman did, and to come back and then to have that race, I thought was quite impressive. So, probably unlucky. I mean, Shell gave up a win, so Shell don't get my points.
Oh,
sorry, did he? Oh, did he win it? Did he? Did I get that wrong? Did he win it? And so Lando was probably my unlucky one. I thought Lando drove a really decent race.
No.
And so, I thought that he was probably the unlucky one. But, you can't give up a race win.
I don't think he gave up a race win at all.
Was he leading?
I think it was incredible. Yeah, he was.
And did he win it?
No.
Okay, there you go.
It was an incredibly hard-fought battle between 2, and they both deserve 3 and 2.
There isn't anything else, Your Honour. I've rest my case.
You're my dad of the day.
Dad of the day, go on, hit me.
Dad of the day? I don't know. I'm stuck again this week. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. If I'm going to give you one, it's going to be the grid walk. Because it was just non-existent this week. Like, it was just...
Should it exist without Martin?
No, because it's hard work.
It shouldn't exist without Martin. I agree.
Yep,
but
it's hard work.
I think last time they set up a desk or they set up a panel and they did something a bit different. They brought people to them.
Yep.
Sky Sports can do this. Like, instead of like having to deal with somebody walking off and getting turned down by people and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Come on, you got producers.
Yeah.
You got some bloody clout around the joint.
Yeah, it was just
bring people past the group to have a chat on the grid.
Yep.
There's plenty of people that want to talk about crap in their lives.
Yeah, it was just sort of
and
sloppy.
So,
it was just non-existent.
Just do something around that. And then you have your Ted and your Bernie checking in with the teams to break those conversations up. So you bring past, I don't know who's about. Brad Pitt comes past. Yeah. You have a quick chat with Brad. And you've got to have someone with some star power to have that chat because Simon Lazenby, he wasn't there either, was he?
No.
Rachel Brooks, she had her appendix out actually, can't be having that chat with Brad. You need someone with a bit more star power going on there, which I'm sure you can get. But yeah, it's just. It was a little bit poor.
Yeah. I can give you an honourable mention because I don't want to nail it as a dud.
Oh.
Because it's harsh.
Don't steal mine.
It's harsh.
Go on.
It's the kid at the end. Kid at the end.
I always like it when you nail a kid. So go on. Hit me.
No, because I feel bad.
Nah.
Because Oscar was doing his interview, right? And he's doing his interview with Karen Chandok.
Yep.
And this kid is like so desperate for an autograph.
Yeah.
And he's just like pushing in, and I love that because like you got you know what I'm like when I see it, right? Like you just got to get it. The opportunity, you know. And it got to the point where Karen just had to push him aside, like he just like straight armed him. and then pointed at him to the security guard, and they just come in and got rid of this kid.
I like that.
And I feel bad now on the kids with that too, but an honourable mention to the kids there too. Just, yeah. And then Oscar just got bundled in with about 40 security guards.
If you let one kid get that autograph...
Oh, you need all of them in there too.
And then all of a sudden they're all coming in, I can't understand it, but anyway, unfortunately...
Honourable mention.
Unfortunately, Sky Sports
chill.
Get lost in their need to be really, really... We've got to get this done. And we watch it live in those moments, and they've got to have the shot, and you can't walk between them. Well, you're standing in the middle of an area. Like, let's bring some people into your presentation. But yes, the balance is really, really hard. Jacques Villeneuve is my dad of the day.
Oh, yeah.
What a spud.
Oh, no.
I mean, just because you've won a world championship.
Like 20 years ago.
Just because you're a prickly character and you're going to say some weird things.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that you need to be brought onto the broadcast as the star factor. I feel like they couldn't convince anyone to come with them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like with Nico Rosberg is actually an upgrade on Villeneuve, only just, but there's the same sort of character. They've managed to win a world championship, which is great, like incredible. Let's not underestimate that. Yeah. And then they've become prickly characters. But it doesn't mean we need to hear from them for across a whole weekend. I'm happy to hear from them here and there, but across a whole weekend, I didn't love what he was bringing. He looked shabby.
He looked awful.
He spoke like stupidly.
And
I
think that's what made it really hard to take him seriously. It's just he looked like just a homeless man.
And his double standards around, Lance Stroll deserves to be on the grid more than anyone. I can't hear him. I can't hear it.
I find
so done of the day for him.
I find it difficult when I listen to him is that he constantly references today's current era of sport to the 90s, and you couldn't have two polar opposite eras in there. I think that's why I find some of what Rosberg says a little bit more palatable, because he was sort of the start and end of the turbo hybrid era. It's still different, but there are a little bit more similarities between the 2 years. And it just doesn't make any sense. I'm like, that's not like... It's like listening to Alan Jones talk about the 60s.
100%. And that's the thing. I can't... Like, Alan Jones is an incredibly interesting character. I want to hear everything he's got to say about his era. I want to hear from Jacques Villeneuve about his era of racing. But...
Don't compare.
I'm lost on what he's trying to say about this. And he might know some stuff, but I'm with you. Don't compare.
And I know he lived in the era where it was cutthroat, and it's like you're good enough or you're out. And he's constantly referring to that, but I think he's just bringing in his experiences.
He's very limited in what he can bring.
I think so too. I think he's been out of the sport too
Hero
long.
of the hour.
Yes.
Harry Benjamin as a commentator on
He
Sky Sports with Karoon.
Yep.
It's a nice combo.
Yeah, it is.
Harry Benjamin with Martin Brundle, I think, would also be a great combo. I can't say I've ever heard it. It's like Martin
I was going to say, I think we
and
had
Crofty come together only.
I think we had about a month ago. We kind of did, actually.
Did we? But I don't think Martin was on with Harry Benjamin. I think it was the same deal where Crofty wasn't there, Simon wasn't there, and Martin wasn't there.
Yep.
Generally, Ted's in that crew as well, where they sub everyone out. And I understand why they're doing the subbing out, but I thought Harry Benjamin brought a really fresh take on Formula One racing.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I desperately want more of it.
Okay. I don't mind that. My hero of the hour is the greatest national anthem on the calendar. Tell me it is not like sitting through the opening credits of a James Bond movie.
There is a bit of that to it.
It is friggin' unreal.
Yep.
As if you're not pumped.
You give a hero of an hour to a national anthem. You're a national anthem enthusiast, I believe.
I do respect and enjoy a good quality national anthem too. It's bloody good.
Yeah.
It is. It's like a James Bond
I want to love the Australian national anthem, and it does. It resonates with me in terms of there's been moments with it, but God, it's pathetic. Like, no, I really like the British national anthem.
No, I don't.
I think that's a great one. It's rousing. The American national anthem is rousing. I find this Advance Australia Fair to be so lackluster. I mean, it does inspire some fondness, pride from me because of all the moments, like the Ricardo moments, Olympic moments, now Oscar moments, Webber moments, and all sorts of things like that. There are certainly moments there, but it's only because of my memories with them. It's not to do with the national anthem. Ours is so shit. It's lackluster as.
Yeah. Anyway, Baku national anthem.
Yeah. It's
Here
a,
are they.
it's a surprise pack. Tell me,
Yes.
in footy,
Yes.
AFL footy.
Yep. Our team's
I'm
not in it.
thinking about EPL. Not sure it does. Whatever reason, British sports only have one commentator and generally a specialist to come with them, an expert.
WC do that.
Yep. And so in Formula One, we've got a commentator that does all the calling, and there's a specialist, and then they go off to other people. In AFL, there's 2 commentators, and quite often there's 3 or 4 special comments people.
Yep.
Could Formula One look at doing this?
No.
Why?
Well, I mean, we do have that already, don't we?
No, we don't. We
do.
not. Sorry, we go to people in pit lane, and we go to people somewhere
Ted's
else.
our pit lane expert. You've got
And Bernie comes in sometimes.
You've got Ted,
Yep.
You got Bernie. You've often got Ant on the Skypad, so he's bringing something different.
Not usually through a
Got
race.
Martin for your special comments.
Yes, so you got.
And you've got those. And I think it's there's so much going
through.
on.
But what I'm getting at, through a race, one commentator
Yep.
and one special comments person in the box.
Yep.
You can go to Ted or Bernie,
Which we do.
and that's about it. Whereas I wonder whether you could squeeze an extra person for special comments, or squeeze an extra person for the commentary into that box. It's just an interesting one.
It'd be weird. I don't know.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, the big problem here for you is it's change, and you don't deal with that very well.
You do not.
F1.5.
F1.5, literally the great. Well, I mean, far out. Is F1.5 the greatest championship in the world this year?
Not yet.
Not
No.
really.
The World
Not
Championship
this
is.
year. The actual world title has suddenly been exciting this
Which
year.
is lovely.
Which is lovely. All right, hey, it's a weird round this round. Because not everyone scored points. Because Ollie Berman is a fly-in, fly-out. So I'm not giving him a point for this weekend. I'm just not. Because it's only happened once.
You are a strange commissioner.
K-Mag is going to score no points for the first time because he didn't race, and I'm not going to give him points for
I'm surprised you didn't
racing.
give him points.
Well, I sort of ummed and ahed about it too, and that's just the way
If
it's
you had
going to go
given
with that one
K-Mag
too.
points, you would have lost a lot of respect for this championship.
From
Everybody.
that...
When that's fair enough.
I still sleep fine
That's fair
at night
enough.
with
But
that.
you've made the right call.
I
Well
have
done.
made the right call. All right. Let's just go through it. I'm just going to go... Yeah, I'm just going to go random order this week because I know you don't enjoy it too.
Waste of time.
All right, I'm going to go at the very first, just go through my list here. Kevin Magnussen, no points this week. 175. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this because I like to annoy you. I'm going to do random order, and then I'm going to do top 3. So I'm just going to randomly scattergun through the field, and then I'm going to give you third, second, first.
Understood.
Good. So K-Mag, no points this week. Sitting pretty on 175. Colapinto, his target is 65. So Sargent is currently on 65. Rest in peace, Logan Sargent. He's already halfway there. He's
Really?
already halfway there. His
Wow.
2 rounds include 15 and 18.
Wowee.
He's halfway there. Is he catching him?
Yes.
Yes, I actually think he is too. Oh, God. Alex Albon takes the win this week. I'm not apologising. 25 points at 198. Oh, boy. That's close.
To
You'll
what?
find out. You'll find out.
Yeah.
I can see it, but I just want you to start
You
thinking
do
about it.
understand how this works,
I
this podcasting
do.
business.
I can see it, so I know it's close. It's close.
The listeners are enjoying this. eh?
Joe, just he is a Formula One driver, just in case you...
I had forgotten.
Did
yep.
you know that? Yeah,
Yep.
8 points this week for Joe. So 103 points. He's hit the 100 mark, which is nice. Bottas is on 97, just floundering around, sort of not doing anything.
Yep.
It's just a bit like, you know when you go to your...
How many points is he on?
97.
Oh, so he's less than
Yeah,
Joe.
less than Joe. You know when you go to the fridge and it's say like it's Sunday afternoon, you want something to eat.
Oh, no, you're going to say
You
Bottas
go
is
to
mouldy
fridge.
at the back of the
No,
fridge.
you just go to the fridge and like there's stuff in there, but you don't want it. Do you ever get that? Do you ever get that? Like, oh, I'm really hungry. I'm going to go to the fridge, have something. And there's things to eat. But you don't want any of it. Like there's vanilla yogurt. And you're like,
It's an interesting analogy.
I don't want that. Like
Yep.
I feel like that's what Valtteri is this season. He is the food in your fridge
that you don't.
that on a
want.
Sunday afternoon when you really want something to eat, you look at it and you think, I'd rather starve.
Has either of those drivers been signed for next year?
No.
Oh, so there's 2 seats available there. We always assume there's one. Oh, no, there's only one.
There is only one.
No, there's only one. Sorry, Hulkenberg, yes.
Yeah, so...
Yep. Anyway, continue on.
So 97.
Continue on this weird journey that we're
97
on.
on this weird journey. So I need to make this interesting because the world title is actually super interesting as well. Then we're going to go to Ocon. 6 points. Nothing flash. Alpine suck this weekend. You can't change my mind there. 182. And Gasly surprisingly brought home 12 points. Is on 180.
Where did he come from, Gasly?
I don't know.
He was one of the runners that didn't pit until the last 2 laps. But yeah.
Where did Alpine come from?
He came from a long way.
Did we see them across the broadcast?
I didn't see how Gasly got in front of Ricciardo. I was confused on that
at all. I cannot remember seeing an Alpine do anything other than start from the pit lane on the weekend.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah, and then here we are. This is why it's close.
So how many was Gasly on?
So Gasly's on 180.
Right.
All right, let's go back to Alex Albon. I said it's close. 198. In third place is Dan.
Still only third.
On 200.
Thought he might have stolen second.
On 200.
Okay.
That's close. That's
no,
2 points.
I understand that. Yep.
That's 2 points.
Yep.
Yuki Tsunoda, who is just having an absolute mare. 6-6-1-2. And he is in third place on 218.
How many did he get this weekend?
2.
2.
So it's, oh, yowzers. And that's for DNFing as well. And then in first place, still just kicking along. He is a bit of a roller coaster. 15, 2, 18, 4, and then 15 this weekend as well. And he's on 260 points. So
Runaway winner.
he's hanging in there. He's
winning. How many? What
do we got?
Yuki on?
218. Yeah, I don't think Yuki's his concern at the moment. So anyway, that's F1.5.
Well, that was a confusing journey.
Well, I said I need to make it interesting because the world title.
I think we need to come up with a new strategy for F1.5 is by confusing our listeners is how we're going to make it interesting.
Yeah, I
think there's other things we can do.
Ooh, they can leave it and go, oh, gee, that was,
It's like, I'm never going to get that time back.
I need to go back to that part
If you're still with us, thank you. We appreciate it. Dr. Auto Art.
Oh, fantasy.
Bring on fantasy.
Hang on, you have to give me a minute here. Fill the air because I have a new text, so...
Oh, you don't know your password?
No, I'm just...
So thanks to Dr. Auto Art, Chris at Dr. Auto Art.
Do the sponsoring sort of info stuff while
he comes on board every year, and we've had him on for an episode. And my favourite thing to do in a race now is to watch the reaction of the winning driver, and just picture what Chris from Dr. Auto Art's going to do for his graphic art of that winner, because he brings out the new one. My favourite for the year was Lewis with the flag. That's an absolute classic.
Yep.
But yeah, it's wonderful. You check him out. Christmas is coming up. As Tristan likes to remind me every episode. And it is a fine thing for Christmas. I've got 2 in my headquarters, as we speak.
Do you like Christmas?
Do I like Christmas?
Yeah.
That's a strange question to ask at this point in time.
It's not. I'm just saying.
I do really like Christmas.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit too busy for my liking.
I hate it.
Yeah, and I can understand that.
I bloody hate it.
I've learnt to do it my way. Like I love all the kids stuff. They get right behind it. I don't love it at school so much because I feel like it's a little bit hard to celebrate when I know that some kids are doing it tough, and so you don't want to sort of go through the whole other thing. So you talk about, who are you going to catch up with, and then they don't catch up with anybody. And it's like, I feel really bad for those kids. But yeah, it's a busy lead up to Christmas for us, but I really like it. I like cooking for the family. I like catching up with the family for that day. I like having too much to eat and drink. Those things are good. But it's a strange question you asked.
I hate it.
Why are we going into fantasy?
No, because you mentioned it's Christmas. It is Christmas time. And we're having support.
Honestly,
Chris
I didn't mention it. You mention it every week.
I just feel like we should do it to help Chris out there because he's awesome.
Okay.
All right.
He is awesome.
Let's have a look at the round this week. Azerbaijan.
The round that was.
Here are the top 10 runners for point scoring for this week. Paul Cook is our number 1 point scorer for the round on 287 points for Paul Cook. Chloe Anderson.
How is Paul Cook going? Is the big question.
Obviously quite good.
Well,
at the moment.
He's doing beautifully.
Doing really well in fantasy. Chloe Anderson is in second place on 281.
How good is Paul's name, by the way? Wake me up before you go, Joe.
Yeah.
So good.
Wake. Yes, I was looking at the 8 there. Wait. Wait.
Yeah, you're on a bit of a delay
I'm
this
just
week,
looking.
aren't
I'm just not.
You
I'm
are on a
trying
bit
to
of a
work
delay
out.
this
I
week.
don't think that's right. Wait. No, I don't think that's the right number there, Paul. Or the K.
Just go with
K
it.
needs to be
That's the idea of it.
I know. Nicola Taylor in third place, 280 points. Lourdes van der Veer on 269 in fourth place. Level with me, surprisingly. And I say surprisingly because I said to you before we started that yesterday afternoon I was like, bloody hell, I hate fantasy because you're in front of me and I was still in like 14th. I thought, here we go, I'm going to have to put up this crap again this week. But then suddenly provisional points, dissipated. And here I am in fourth place. So life's good again.
That's good.
So 269 points. Adam Hughes in sixth place, 267, along with Roman Merrick on 267. Arv Riedling on 264. You in ninth place.
Yay.
259. That's pretty good. And Audit's 47 on 254.
There you go.
So that's pretty good. All right, let's look at the overall top runners, top 10. Thanks to Chris. Top 3 taking home a fantastic piece of artwork from Chris. Lourdes van der Veer leads all comers on 3,960. Dean Holt, 3,857. Chloe Anderson in third, 3,816. Roman Merrick, 3,766. David Rojas in fifth, 3,731. Andy Tails, 3,721. Fariz in 7th place on 3,690. Jolien Dyer in 8th, 3,661. Adam Hughes, 3,529 in 9th. And me, got a little bit of ground back on Adam because he snagged my 9th last week. So I'm only 6 points behind you, Adam. And I am in 10th place on 3,523. You're kind of ticking along all right, which pains me to say.
Look at me go.
You're in 15th place at the moment on 3,318. So you're sort of thereabouts.
I'm as surprised as you are, my friend.
Yeah, me too. So anyway, that is fantasy for this week.
Brilliant. Making any changes anytime soon?
No.
You're not. I'm ditching Aman Dan. For Franco Colapinto. And I can't decide. And so that means that I'm going to upgrade. Because there's quite a big difference. Colapinto's only 5.8. Dan's 11 million. So I figure, let's bring him in. So that means I can upgrade George to either Lando or Charles.
Ooh. Oh, that's handy.
Where do you go with that?
That's handy. Let me have a look at my team here because I don't know that. I don't know. No, I'm pretty okay. I've got Lando. I've got George. I've got Hulk. I've got Dan. I've got Colapinto. McLaren, Mercedes. I'm okay with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm going to go with Lando. I think I'm going back in Lando. I think he's due to turn things around again. Any news that you want to talk about?
No.
So, I don't think Newey was signed yet, was he?
Nah, I don't think so
On
either.
the last episode. We've spoken about it already a little bit. Is there anything else that sort of comes with that? I mean, my expectation is Max will be there in the next year or two, and I really hope it's for Stroll, but it's probably not going to be. Tell me, what is Stroll's point in this team now? I mean, they're obviously trying... The whole point of the team is for Stroll to try and get Stroll a world championship, make him world champion. The problem with that is he has to have a driver that he can beat, which is going to be you can't bring in a Max Verstappen.
Yep.
Is there a point where Lawrence Stroll goes away from the whole idea of Lance Stroll becoming world champion?
Yep.
And he just goes and bites the bullet and he employs somebody that's going to be world champion if it's not Alonso. Can you see a world where he's convincing Max to come?
Yeah, I can.
But that's going to be at the detriment to Stroll being a world champion. Do you think what's more important to him? Do you think the team becoming world champion or Stroll?
I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, isn't it? How do you turn your son down? How do you as a dad, how do you turn?
I guess you just keep him there with the opportunity.
How do you turn him down?
You keep him there with the opportunity, like he is at the moment. But it's like, I've done everything I can for you, son. But this driver's obviously pantsing you. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's
It's just
just-
that's an interesting situation. And it's not the first time this has happened.
Yep.
For me, I was really interested in hearing Newey. I mean, Newey's one of the most respected people in Formula One.
Yeah.
He was really impressed. I mean, great move by Stroll,
Yeah.
Lawrence Stroll, in bringing him in and offering him shares in the team and ownership of the team. I thought that was a masterstroke
Yeah.
because Newey, that really appealed to him. I've never had that sort of offer given to me, and I really like that. I wonder whether Red Bull's really missed a genius move there.
Yeah.
I wonder whether Toto Wolff's missed a genius move there, because, I mean, come on, bring him in,
Maybe,
sign him
yeah,
up. I can't
maybe.
never see him in a Mercedes, but anyway. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But the other thing that really piqued me, and he's got to say nice things about his new employer,
Yeah.
but the way that he spoke about, well, it was almost back to the old school of Formula One where the team owner had more to do with the team than what owners do with teams these days. And so Lawrence Stroll is part of the running of the team. Yeah, he oversees it all. He probably doesn't make big decisions in terms of what's going on,
Yeah.
but he does. He liked that aspect of him. He liked his passion. He liked his vision. And so I thought it was really interesting. But like I said, it is his job to speak highly about his new employer, and he certainly did a good job of that. So it's a really interesting thing. I think it's great for Formula One.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him in a Ferrari,
Yeah.
because I just wanted to see that story of Ferrari winning with Newey. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's to be done. They're going to continue to chip away Ferrari, aren't they? Any
Yeah.
other news?
No, that's sort of it. Like, that's
Yep.
everything.
Yep. Wonderful. We're off to Singapore. Who's your prediction?
You know
You
what?
talked about Max.
I'm going to go with that early one. I just...
Yep.
It's got a feeling. I don't know. I've got that feeling now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, yeah.
I think you're off the mark a little bit.
All right.
Charles been so strong. I think Sainz is quite strong in Singapore too, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that Ferrari seems to like those sorts of.
We haven't seen a
tracks at the
real
moment.
proper Oscar at the moment
Yep.
with Singapore. Like, he just sort of was learning it last
Yes,
year, so I
yep.
wonder what that looks like
Yep.
now.
What does a new improved Oscar look
Yeah.
like? Lando can't be making those mistakes. Oh man, it's tough. I think I'm going to go Sainz win
Yep.
for my prediction, but I tell you what, it could be anyone's. I actually expect Mercedes to come back to the pack as well, and George in a fast Mercedes might be hard to beat. But yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's a 10 o'clocker for us.
That's all right. I'm okay with that.
I'll take a 10 o'clocker.
Yeah.
It's also the start of holidays.
Yeah, so who cares?
You'll be guilty.
Woo.
Keep your ears out for Fan Frenzy. It'll be out not that long after this episode because it's a close turnaround. But until then, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you again in our holidays after Singapore. Goodbye now.